Okay, so this is our multi-threaded example. And the reason we have to use multi-threading in this application is we've got two things going on at the same time. The snow, which is its own thread, and then the Santa sleigh, which is on a separate thread. And if we were not multi-threading in this application, the behavior would be quite different. All the snow would have to fall first to completion, and then when the snow was done, Santa would come through. And that would ruin the whole effect. Or vice versa. Santa would have to fly through across the completely clear black sky, and only when Santa was done flying could the snow fall. So you can see the benefit of multi-threading here. We can have it all going at the same time. You know what, before we talk about the code, I want to talk about delegates. I had mentioned this in our PowerPoint show video. Let's say I add a button. Let's say this is C#1, the very first night. You plop a button on the form, you double click to generate that sandwich, okay? I want to show you what is going on behind the scenes here. Okay, so this is, when you double click that button, this is a delegate. The delegate associates an object with a method, basically. And so that's what's happening behind the scenes when we're using the designer and we're double-clicking controls to generate event handlers. Those controls are associated with those event handlers through use of a delegate. So you've been using them all along, as I said. So getting back to our multi-threading discussion, let me begin by showing you, I have a Santa class. The Santa is going to be on his own thread. It's just kind of a simple class. I only have one private data member, which is a picture box, and that is obviously for the Santa picture. I have a constructor to initialize that picture box. Okay, and then this is where things get interesting, or at least they get kind of convoluted. And I understand that this is really a new way of doing things for us. But basically, I have this set new position method. And you saw the Santa flying in an upward diagonal across the window. And so that's it's just a series of tiny, tiny movements, just like one position at a time, like one pixel at a time. So every time he moves, I give him a new top coordinate and a new left coordinate. So the top coordinates are decreasing in value because we're going up and getting closer to the top edge of the window. And the left coordinates are increasing in value because he's getting further and further from the right. So that gives us an upward diagonal. So this is the set new position method. You can see it's very generic. We've got the new top coordinate, the new left coordinate, and we're setting the picture box top and left coordinates to that. So this is a generic delegate that is going to be used to execute this method. And we have to do it this way because the method is being executed from within a thread, so that the thread complicates things. So we can't just call the method like we would, in just a normal situation. We have to execute the method, or the proper word is invoke. We have to invoke the method through a delegate when we're multi-threading. So just a quick note here. This is called the method signature, okay? We have the method name and then the parameter list. That's called the method signature. So the delegate's signature has got to really match the method signature. Specifically the parameter list. It doesn't have to have the same name, but the parameter list has got to line up perfectly. So we do have that. Okay, so getting to this is really the method and the loop that's going to propel Santa across the screen here. So we have a loop because he's just going to go, 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 go. I mean, there's really no end point. I mean, he's just, even when he gets off the window and disappears, he's still going, he's still looping. So we have this move sleigh method. I use the sleep method on the thread to suspend the execution. Otherwise, he would just go like so fast, it would just ruin everything. We wouldn't even see him moving across a screen because he'd go from there to there in no time. So I did suspend the thread, or put the thread to sleep. That's how we suspend a thread. So I'm going to create the new top and the new left, just, decrementing and incrementing by 1. That's all. And then invoke that set new position method through the delegate. Okay, through the delegate, through the position delegate. Okay, so that is my Santa class that is going to execute in its own thread. And now I have the form here. Let's see what's going on. The form is going to have the snow. It's going to create the threads and, have the snow in it as well. So up at the top here, I have the 2 threads I'm creating. The snow thread, which is going to run in its own thread. And then the Santa thread is running in his own thread. I have to create the Santa object. The snow we're just taking care of right here in the form. I have to create a graphics object. We don't do this a lot, but if you want to draw directly on the form, which we haven't done a lot of, you have to create a graphics object. And I won't get into that. It's not an important technique, but basically this stuff, that snow is like sprinkled in the form in random locations. We're using a white pen, so this is what that's about. It's just snow related. Okay, so in the form load, I have my snow thread. And I'm going to call the thread start delegate to start that thread. And let's see. Yeah, snow, I'm looking at the snow. Snow is a method. It's down here. It's where we're actually drawing the snowflakes. So I'll get to that in a moment. But I'm going to, again, create my snow thread and start it. We had talked about this in the slideshow. When you create a thread, it begins in an unstarted state. If you want that thread to go, meaning in this case I want that snow to start falling immediately, I have to call the start method on that thread. I am going to set up my Santa object with the picture of the Santa sleigh, and then create the Santa thread and call the thread start delegate on that to invoke the move sleigh method. So the sleigh starts moving as soon as the program starts. So, well, and because I'm calling the thread start delegate. The sound here is unrelated, but that's just to play the jingle bell sound. Okay, so this is the snow method. I just have it like a loop, an infinite loop to draw the snow. I have drawing the flakes here. It's just, some basic graphics stuff. I'm not going to get into that, but just like drawing a single flake with a white pen in a random location. Again, you don't want your thread to just, you need to put it to sleep for a little bit, just to kind of slow things down. Otherwise, it'll go crazy. The invalidate, this is interesting. I'm going to show you. The invalidate is going to wipe the screen clean. So you can see the snow kind of flickers. The flakes will be drawn, but then they disappear. Watch what happens. Whoops. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. You have to do the good night button to actually abort the threads. Otherwise, it's going to keep running and running and running. But let me show you what happens if you don't have the invalidate. This is very interesting. If you don't wipe that screen clean, the effect is quite different, as you'll see. Oh, that's even more bizarre than I was expecting. So that invalidate kind of wipes everything clean. Wow, is that weird? Okay, so I guess my point is you need that invalidate method where it keeps putting me in the wrong place. Okay, let me get that back. Okay, yeah, just one more thing. As far as like aborting the threads, you do have to. I put those in the good night button. We're aborting the threads in the good night button. You might have seen what happened when I didn't use the good night button. I just killed the window with the X, and you can still hear the jingle bells. The program's not running. Those threads have to be explicitly aborted if you want to stop the whole thing. So that's why I have the good night button there. We're aborting the threads and closing the window. So anyway, that's a simple version or a simple program using multi-threading, and that is that.